Okay, in this video I want to talk a little bit about how to graph an inequality, mainly a two-variable inequality. So, if I wanted to graph y is bigger than x squared, y is greater than or equal to x squared, I first need to have an idea in my mind of what exactly does y equals x squared look like. So before I do anything else, I'm going to first figure out that problem. What does y equals x squared look like? And so I'm going to make a little table, come up with a set of points, and draw a graph. So I'll plug in numbers, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. And since we're just squaring, we should be able to fly through this really quickly. -3 squared would be -3 times -3, which is +9. 2 squared would be 4. 1 squared is 1. And then 0, 1, 4, and 9 again. So my graph would look like, since we only have positive points, positive y's, okay, we have -3, 9, +3, 9, -2, 4, +2, 4, -1, 1, 1, 1, and 0, 0. I have no idea why I did that so out of order, but anyway, these are the points we end up with. And so if I need to graph y equals x squared, I would connect the dots. It would be a parabola shape, or a horseshoe shape. Okay, so my answer is actually going to be y is greater than or equal to. So the place where y is equal to x squared are going to be part of my answer, so I'm going to go ahead and just fill in that shape. Okay, and then I have to think creatively to come up with which numbers, which points are going to make that inequality true. So I'm going to use multiple choice until I figure out what exactly it's going to look like. So if I plug in x is 1 and y is 1, the inequality is true, just barely, because left side is equal to the right side. If I pick a number above that, for instance this point where x is 1 and y is 2, then x squared would be 1 and y would be 2. So y is indeed bigger than x squared. And so keeping in mind that we want y to be bigger and y represents a vertical distance. If we want our vertical distance to be bigger, that means we're above the graph. So all the points that are above the parabola, so I guess inside the parabola is one way to think about it, all of these points are going to have their y value is even bigger than the y values that are on the parabola, which means that they're going to make the inequality true. So my graph of y is greater than or equal to x squared would be the border of the parabola along with everything inside it or everything above it. So we want our y's to be bigger than x squared. If you try to point over here like 3, 1, you would see that the x squared is not bigger than, the inequality fails to be true because the y value is not bigger than x squared. It's much lower than x squared, actually. Okay, so I'm going to try another example that's related. So I'm not going to completely erase everything. I'm going to try and graph a system of inequalities. Okay, so again, in order to figure out what a graph looks like in 2 dimensions, I need to know what especially for inequalities, I need to know what the boundaries are going to look like. So before I get too far into this, I know that my boundary cases or my edges of the graph are going to look like the equations. So y is equal to x squared and x is equal to 1. So let's think about what does the equation x equals 1 look like. Points where x is equal to 1. Well, this is a point with x is 1. This is also a point with x is 1. This is also a point with x is 1. Actually, everything on a vertical line is going to have x is equal to 1. One thing I have to be careful about putting that in my graph is, let me erase the shading here. Is that I don't actually want to include the line x equals 1 itself. This is not part of my answer because I want x to be explicitly bigger than 1. And so the way we denote something that's not included is, instead of using a line, which essentially is playing the role of our filled-in circle, we'll use a dotted or dashed line, which will play the role of our empty circles. So it's the same as an inequality where we're saying it's less than a particular point instead of less than or equal to. That means we don't include the edges. Okay, so our first inequality, we've already mentioned, y greater than or equal to x squared means you're above the parabola. Second inequality, x is bigger than 1, means if this is x is 1, these are the x's that are bigger than 1. And so that second inequality means it's everything on the right edge. So if we want to find solutions of the system of equations, it has to be above the parabola and right of the dotted line. That means we're talking about that region in there. We're not allowed to have numbers where x is smaller than 1. X would be smaller than 1 over here. We're not allowed to have numbers where the x squared is bigger than the y. So we're not allowed to have points where y is below x squared. Only points where y is above x squared and x is right of 1.